I mean, these are all semi-existential questions that only you have the answers to.
I see. Well, we've been recording for 6 hours. We should probably start this thing. Everyone, welcome to Werewolf Radar, the premier paranormal preparedness podcast. I am one of your hosts, Roger Norquist.
And I am yet another host, Nate Baldwin.
And our third host, Jordan Dahl. Sorry. Our third host, Jordan Dahl.
Jordan Dahl?
is in Scotland right now. Ask him questions about Scotland. What do you eat, Jordan? What does a Scottish person eat? That's my question for you. If you have other questions, hit him up at RazorLou on Twitter, or just hit us up at Werewolf Radar on Twitter.
Yeah. And if you have paranormal problems emanating from the Scottish Isle, let him know, and he's around to bust those ghosts.
Yeah, he's around. He'll do it. But most importantly,
take him at the roots.
Most importantly, we have to honor our sponsor, Nate.
Our corporate branding. We are, of course, brought to you this week by Monstroko brand Blood Umbrella. Have your normal umbrellas been getting all soaked through by the crimson tears from a weeping god? Try Monstroko brand Blood Umbrella. Soaks up the crimson tears for later use. For what purposes? Who knows? Monstroko, man. Blood Umbrella keeps you dry when it's raining cats, dogs, plague frogs, and more. Not for use in ordinary rain. Monstroko brand Blood Umbrella.
Let me tell you, as a beta tester for the Monstroko Blood Umbrella, it is a gremlin situation. Do not use it in normal rain, okay? Unless you want a 90-minute adventure that has some fun comedy moments and then some scary,
some true horror.
Yeah. But it's great for the crimson tears.
They're insanely veiny.
They are veiny. They are. Nate, I got a segment on the CIA's Mars exploration. If you don't mind me going first.
I say do it to it.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure we covered this in the past, but the past is a mystery to us here. If you're familiar with the anime Big O, that's what we go through. Amnesia entirely. Forget our past. We know that we are in this state and we continue, but we have no idea what we talked about 6 months ago.
Oh, every podcast is a new episode of Separates for us.
Yes, exactly. So I was looking up weird shit. I was going for like Mars exploration or Mars whistleblowers. I'm a big fan of Kurt Vonnegut. And although I totally am forgetting the book where he involves a story of two people, and one of them is a soldier on a Mars army, and it's like Mars. It's crazy. Read Kurt Vonnegut. Anyway, I was looking up Mars shit, and I came across the CIA's Astral Projection Project that explored Mars in May 22nd of 1994. And I have shared this CIA document from CIA.gov. Take that as you will. I've uploaded that or sent the link over to our Discord. So if you want a tracker installed into your computer, follow our link on our Discord. Yeah. Go to our Twitter. That's where you can join our Discord right now. Also our YouTube. Check that out if you haven't. And YouTube search Werewolf Radar. You'll find it.
And chances are you're already being tracked anyway. So,
oh yeah, you're definitely being tracked. NSA
no
does
problem.
NSA does the inside stuff, CIA is the outside stuff. And that's why in 1984 they have a file that was released in 2000 called Mars Exploration. It reads, method of site acquisition, sealed envelope coupled with geographic coordinates. So if you don't know about astral projection, it's been a, what's the correct word, Nate? Storied history, a lot of big names, a lot of crazy stories. Edgar Casey was known to remote view / astral project to Venus, I believe was his large claim. There's others as well, but Edgar Casey is, I think, the greatest. The Sleeping Prophet, I believe he was called.
Yes, indeed he was.
So the sealed envelope was given to the subject immediately prior to the interview. As cold as they could get it, the envelope was not opened until after the interview. The envelope was a 3x5 card with the following information. The planet Mars. Time of interest approximately 1 million years BC. And of course, BC meaning before Cardi B. His time has been different after her. It was a very bad time. Now, selected geographic coordinates provided by the parties requesting the information were verbally given to the subject during the interview and were written down. I have the numbers. This is the first one, 727 101. The second set of numbers is 604 908. That is the geographical location or coordinates that the subject was to remote view or astral project on the planet Mars 1 million years before Cardi B. I now have the transcript, which occurred on May 22nd, 1984. ROJ for 5/22, May 22nd, time 10:09 a.m. Monitor, that's who's speaking, plus 10 minutes ready to start. All right, now, using the information in the envelope I provided, exclusively focusing your attention now, using the information in the envelope, focus on, then what are these numbers I have up here? So here's the actual coordinates. I apologize. 40.89 degrees north and 9.55 degrees west. The subject. I want to say it looks like, I don't know. It sort of looks, I kind of got an oblique view of a pyramid or pyramid form. It's very high. It's kind of sitting in a large depressed area. The monitor, all right. Subject, it's yellowish. An ochre color. So that's crazy. Could you imagine? I know this is maybe this is uncommon for me because I am not someone whose business card reads astral projection.
Right.
But it would be insane if I got an envelope that fucking said this information and it was expected to do the coordinates and then I started seeing shit.
Well,
an oblate pyramid.
They're ripping off an old Carson bit.
Oh, listen, it was a good bit. And in 1984, it was at the peak of its performance. The monitor goes on and says, all right, move in time to the time. So this is now. He's at the degrees now. Present day Mars. He sees a pyramid that's ochre colored. And now the monitor tells him to move in time to the time indicated in the envelope and describe what's happening. The subject says that they were experiencing severe clouds, more like a dust storm. It's a geological problem, they say. And then they seem to be having a difficulty because they tell the monitor that they have to iron this out. It's really weird. So the astral projector is experiencing stuff that they have not experienced before with this project.
Right, the old Martian dust bowl.
Yes. The monitor tries to get them on track and says, report your raw perceptions. You're still early in the session. The subject says that 1 million years ago, they were looking at an after effect of a major geologic problem. The monitor then instructs them to go to a time before the geologic problem. The subject then has their speech taken away almost. There is a long pause, and then they say, total difference. Before there's, no, I don't know. Oh, hell. It's like mountains of dirt appear and then disappear. When you go before, see large flat surfaces.
Getting through millions of years of time.
Very smooth angles.
Take it all in.
Walls. They're really large, though. I mean, they're megalithic. So, yeah, I think that's what they're going through. They're like traveling through it and seeing like the time lapse as they travel. And now the monitor says at this period in time before the geologic activity, look around in and around this area and see if you can find any activity. What the subject says is crazy. I'm seeing it's like a perception of shadow people, very tall and thin. It's only a shadow, as if they were there and they're not there anymore. So who knows when this period is, because we're like 1 million years back, and then he's all like, go back farther. So we could be back like 2 million years in Mars's history right now.
Yeah,
or maybe even farther.
I was going to say the shadow people doesn't sound like any reports of Martians that I've read about. Like they're usually either like grays that are being herded around by some sort of reptiles or used as mercenaries to fight the reptiles. It's usually there's a reptilian thing going on.
Which happens in the Kurt Vonnegut book. Cat's Cradle, I believe, is the one I was referencing. So the monitor now says, Nate, and I'm sorry to even make us think about it, go back further in time.
Whoa!
Where they are there. And the subject mumbles shit. It says, and then mumble. I can only assume it is a cursing under their breath going, yeah, sure, buddy, I can do whatever you want. There's not limitations to my power at all. The subject then pulls it together after it go on.
Well, I was just saying, I was wondering if this is the way that I've seen other remote viewing processes where they're like, they've got like 2 ping pong balls taped over their eyes, and they're like, you know, crazy bit of headgear.
And it doesn't say that this is going on here. It does not say how they are positioned. This is just the transcript of what was said back and forth. So I'm going to say yes to that. It's like the subject says, it's like I get a lot of static on a line and everything. It's breaking up all the time, very fragmentary pieces. The monitor then again instructs them to report the raw data. The subject says, I keep seeing very large people. They are tall and thin, but they are very large and wearing some kind of strange clothes.
Martian giants, man.
It sounds like, if you're familiar, one of the people from the end game of Final Fantasy 14, the online one, where they're very tall humanoid things and have very strange robish clothes. I think they're nude, but you don't really know for sure. The monitor then goes, all right, now holding on this time period, we focused in on something and we're good on. I want you to now move in space to another physical location, giving them the locations 46.45 north and 353.22 east.
They're really putting this guy's brain through a ringer.
They fucking are, dude. This puts the subject inside of a cavern, but not a cavern, more like a canyon, says the subject. I'm looking up the sides of a steep wall that seems to go further on. It's like the wall of the canyon itself has been carved. Again, I'm getting a very large structures. No, intricacies, huge sections of smooth stone. Does the structure have insides and outsides? The subject says, yes. It's like a rabbit warren, which I didn't know was the word for a rabbit hole. That's what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
It's like a rabbit warren. Corners of rooms, they're really huge. I don't feel like I'm standing in one. It's just really huge. Perception is that ceiling is very high. Walls are very wide. The monitor, in parentheses, real time plus 22 minutes. Yes, that would be correct. All right. I like to move on now.
That would be correct. Wait, so he knew what he was looking for?
It's very bizarre. I have more pages to read, but I don't want to take up all the time, and I will kind of want to piece this out. So that is the CIA's exploration. After we jump one more time, I can't tease it that bad. So we now go to 46.86 north, 354.1 east, and then another date that's the same, just a typo in a CIA file. Trustworthy. The subject says at this location, they have what appears to be the end of a very large road, and there's a marker thing that's very large. Keep getting Washington Monument overlay. It's like an obelisk. And then that's where I'll properly end this segment for the CIA's Mars exploration, part 1. There's some crazy shit. If you want, join our Discord. I will have I have the whole file up so you can read it. But for those of you who don't wish, you're getting the proper performance that I intend. I want to tease this out. It's a crazy fucking transcript.
Well, I think this is from the same year.
I was born this year, Nate.
This is the year that supposedly a young Barack Obama took a trip to Mars and ostensibly saw something of his future somehow.
And that's why he decided to eventually start smoking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, crazy. I don't know truly what to make of it because it seems like nonsense, but it is a CIA file.
I mean, they ran these
And
experiments.
I don't
for
trust
sure.
the CIA because of what they've done in countries that I have supported, not physically or financially or emotionally, since most of them were overthrown before my birth. But, you know, like, I don't know. It's crazy. The CIA did this and they released the files and they just kept this. And they were like, they have, as you said, like they have fucking, what am I trying to say? Coordinates that they specifically want him to go to.
Right. Over the course of millions of years, which
over the course of millions of years.
Feels like there's a little something else lying underneath that. Somewhere.
And we're going to get to the bottom of it next week with the help of Jordan. So, Jordan,
yeah,
I hope you listen because I'm not going to catch you up, okay? You're just going to jump into it fresh.
Throw you right into the isolation chamber and force you to astrally project all the way to another planet in another time.
Ooh, we might be able to do that. Well, anyway, I'm going to pass the speaking skull to you now.
Okie doke. It's a little bitey today. Well, I also have not a terribly long segment, but I was just wondering about various giant type creatures, cyclopeans.
Sure, as we do.
Yeah. And I hit on one that led me just to basically, this is a handful of Honduran cryptids. This first one is from a thing, More Monsters of the Mayagna and Mosquito. And it's entirely using, I believe, Eduard Cosimius's ethnographical survey of the Mosquito and Sumo Indians of Honduras and Nicaragua, written in 1932.
Ooh, that sounds crazy. That sounds crazier than my thing.
I mean, it's a lot of
I mean, not like crazy, you know, but like crazy fun. Sorry.
Yeah. Enjoyable. And some of his stuff sounds kind of like things that we've covered before, but native to Honduras instead of like Brazil.
I like it.
Yeah, so the book mainly includes descriptions of folkloric animals or possible cryptids given to him by the Mosquito and Mayagna people of Nicaragua. Consemius describes them as fictitious beings. I've only included the ones, this is when I say this person that wrote the article, I've only included the ones which are described as animals. The list also includes purely fantastic beings, such as witches and sirens, which perhaps doesn't say much for the reality of the creatures mentioned below. On the other hand, the water tiger is definitely described as a real animal, which the natives claim to have seen and shot at, and another being on the list seems to be identical to the Sisamite, a genuine cryptid, which we will also talk about.
Awesome. I like the man who shot at the cryptid, not because I want cryptid bodies to pile up. That's not the reason. But
no, well, I mean, the water tiger seems to be a genuinely real thing.
I just trust them more.
Yeah.
Like to where like, no, I shot at the motherfucker, you know?
And it did not die. It disappeared.
It didn't die. It took the bullet and said hello.
It spit it back at me.
It just sucked up the bullet from the wound and spit it out.
Nice try, asshole. Perhaps the most interesting of these monsters is a beast which does not appear to have any native names because Cosimius describes it simply as a cyclops. However, it's very similar to the Mapinguari. Its characteristics are in agreement with the most bare bones description of the Mapinguari. In the bush lives also a curious being, shaped somewhat like a giant human being, but having a head similar to that of a dog. It has only one eye, while its large mouth is at the navel, which is pretty rad. I couldn't find a ton about this thing. It's known as the mosquito cyclops, or El Ciclope de la Selva Mesquita. But the significant mouth in the navel only appears to be mentioned by Cosemius. So there are probably other stories about this thing that maybe make it less like a Mapinguari. But either way, a dog-faced cyclops with a giant mouth in its stomach, pretty cool.
Yeah. And I love a monster with the mouth in the stomach. It's freaky, It's fun, it's a cross-cultural thing. Everyone seemed to got a monster with the mouth in the stomach. It's kind of like dumplings, everyone's got a dumpling.
Yeah, exactly. Another monster which Cosemius connects with the more well-known Cadejo is the Waiwan, which has two different conflicting descriptions. A black dog-like bush animal with a nose shaped like that of the large anteater and with fiery eyes similar to balls of fire, which corresponds approximately to the Cadejo of the Ladinos. Its claws rattle on the ground as it runs along with great swiftness. It spits fire and does not do any harm if left unmolested, but will throw down on the ground anyone trying to stop it.
I know that's a mistranslation, and they just mean alerted or touched.
Yeah.
But it's weird in English when the monster has to be molested to be attacked. And I agree. It should attack you.
Yeah, I mean, there's no telling that someone hasn't tried it and then gotten a face full of fireball. There's also said to exist a white variety. Bell Bell's another writer on the same book. Bell describes it as a terrible monster like a horse, but with jaws fenced round with horrid teeth, whose native place is the sea, whence it issues from time to time to its summer residence on the hills, and at night roams about the forest in search of human and other prey. So jaws fenced round with horrid teeth sounds like they're on the outside.
Yeah, like they're I don't know what the right term is, but yeah, very much so. To where it's like boar's tusk, but like all over the place and like going in.
Yeah, and that's also terrifying.
Very much so.
Maybe more so than the one that looks like a dog and spits fire.
I shall have nightmares tonight.
Excellent. Finally, there's a gigantic water-dwelling boa constrictor with horns like a deer, called by the Mayagna Wadula.
Oh.
A very large waula or boa constrictor with two horns on the head like a deer is said to inhabit certain large lagoons in the pine ridges far away from the nearest indigenous village. It is claimed that the common waula or boa turns into such a monster when it reaches old age, and that it then retreats into deep lagoons. Man has no power to kill such a boa constrictor, as bullets have no effect on it. It can be destroyed only by a stroke of lightning. The creeks leading to the lagoons inhabited by the monster are generally rich in all sorts of game, for no one dares to ascend them. It is claimed that in case anyone should be foolhardy enough to paddle up such a creek, presently a rumbling of thunder is heard, then the water reverses its course, flowing at a tremendous speed back to the lagoon, directly into the mouth of the boa constrictor, which swallows the canoe with the intruder. So this thing is huge.
Yeah, very much so.
I don't know
Boa
how
constrictors, normal ones, get up to 30 feet long.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely
Average one hitting 15, which is still 3 times my size almost. I'm a
pretty
good
sizable.
6 foot, so 2.5.
Yeah, I like that this guy, it's just a normal boa constrictor, and as long as it grows old, it just gets deer horns and moves to a new lagoon. And watches out for lightning.
And it very much is things that a living animal would do, moving to a larger hole, avoiding lightning, eating human. Oh, by the way, Nate, I've gotten the sweet tooth because of Sons of the Forest.
Oh, no.
I got the sweet tooth, yes.
Then I guess this cryptid is found in Honduras and Nicaragua, but I guess primarily in Belize. And that's the Sisamite, aka a whole bunch of other things. It's from the Nahuatl for diviner, is a cryptid primate reported from montane forests across Central America and Mexico, usually described as an ape-like creature which kills men and kidnaps women. The name is also Swinta is mosquito for spirit of the mountains, and Utkurwitzir is Mayan for guardian hill spirit. So it's kind of just a giant, cool forest ape that I guess occasionally goes full King Kong. The Sisamite is described as being larger than a man and rather like a gorilla in build, with either darkish or long, stiff black hair that reaches to the ground, and a human head with big eyes, but only 4 fingers and no thumb. Bummer. Like many other mythical creatures of South and Central America, the Sisamite's toes, specifically its big ones, are said to be turned backward. The Sisamite is nocturnal and walks on 2 legs, but runs on all 4s. It is notable for the length of its strides. It eats crabs and snails and lives in caves, and sometimes attacks travelers on roads and kidnaps women and children. Its howls and screams are often heard. The Chorty name for these calls, Mariconet, loosely translates as "will get you."
Ooh, I hate it.
And there are a number of sightings. Here's the first one is undated. A Sisamite is said to be depicted on a Mayan carving discovered at the ruin of Zunantunich in Belize by Lars Thomas. The first European account of the Sisamite allegedly came from a group of Spanish gold prospectors in the late 18th century who shot and killed a Sisamite which was raiding their camp in Honduras. In 1898, Edward Jonathan Hoyt claimed to have shot a large ape-like creature about 5 feet tall in Honduras when it crawled over the end of his bunk. It resembled a hairy human. Although I don't believe he killed it. I think he just shot it and it took off.
Ooh. Means it's strong.
Yeah.
Unless the guy missed, which is more than likely.
Also possible. 1912, the grandfather of Don Manuel Mejia ran into a Sisamite on Pico Bonito, Honduras in 1912. You mentioned 1912 already, article. It walked like a man and was tall and hairy. This is kind of like a Honduran Sasquatch. Maybe.
Yeah, it's what it really sounds like. I mean, a different form of it, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's like wearing. Maybe it doesn't have. I just don't believe a living creature would have the stomach on the mouth, and perhaps it's like Bigfoot. Is this the same creature?
No, this is a different guy.
Sorry, I'm still thinking about that guy, man. What a weird one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, no, I believe.
Cyclops.
Yeah, even with that, I would assume that the mouth was actually like dress for the Bigfoot, something they created and wore and thought was neat.
Right. Yeah, it just looked like a big scary mouth.
That'd be cool. My Bigfoot has a big scary mouth on the stomach. It meant it.
1927, according to Harold T. Wilkins, during an expedition to Honduras, one of Thomas Gann's carriers was attacked and torn to pieces by an ape-like animal. There's the quote from that, accompanied by Frank Blancsenot. Gann trailed the strange monster's footsteps to a cave deep in the forest. Close to the mouth of the cave, both men were brought up, all standing. Sunk deeply in the soft clay were footprints almost exactly like the thumb and first fingers of a gigantic human hand. Each digit was armed with a great claw. Persistent efforts have been made to capture the beast, but with no success. Dale A. Drennan continues. On one occasion, Blancsenot and his black friend saw the branches waving at the top of a tall tree, and the black man said it was the devil. The bearer reluctantly agreed to go for a closer look, armed with a light rifle loaded with duck shot. After a dreadful commotion in the brush, with much screaming, they found the bearer with fur finger gouges across his torso, from which his entrails protruded his belly. He was still alive enough to say the devil had ripped him up and then beat it for the bush. Subsequent questioning of the local natives brought out the information that the forest devil was well known. It would attack lone women when it could, rip their clothes off, and hurl them to the ground.
Well, that has nothing to do with the slashing this man received.
No, I think it just kills the men.
Oh, okay, fair. And throws the women down. And
tears the clothes from the women. Take that as you may, fans of SVU, Honduras. It was covered with long, stiff black hairs. Later, scratches or rub marks on trees 5 or 6 feet up, with some examples of these long, stiff black hairs sticking in the bark. So they found stuff that seems to imply that this thing is definitely around. Like, they've got hairs, they've got scratches.
They have DNA because of the scratches. It definitely left some.
Yeah, except it's 1927. So.
Oh, God damn it. This is before.
Yeah.
Well, God damn it.
In the 1940s, this one's kind of terrifying. In the 1940s, a man from Coban, Guatemala, named Miguel Husol, filed a police complaint alleging that his son-in-law was a delinquent for allowing Husol's daughter to be kidnapped by a Yosemite while standing by and doing nothing. So the police report isn't about his kidnapped daughter, it's about his delinquent son-in-law.
Just say that again. I'm sorry. What?
So the police report that this guy files is not about the fact that his daughter was kidnapped by a Yosemite. It's that his son-in-law stood by and did nothing. But it feels like, maybe you want the cops to go after the monster.
I would do that one. I would read that one. But I mean, I don't have a son that I'm disappointed in so much so that I forget the trauma of my daughter.
Yeah, right. There's a couple theories about it. The Yosemite may be a purely mythical entity or a species of undiscovered apes similar to the Didi, Mapinguari, or Mono Grande. Dale A. Drennan notes that the Kekchi Maya of southern Belize's, pardon me, Kekchi Maya of southern Belize's Toledo district recognized three main classes of forest denizens: major deities, local spirits, and normal animals. The Sisamite is included in the third category, alongside tapirs and jaguars, suggesting that it is seen as just a normal animal, although it doesn't seem very normal.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. It seems like it's a very frightening creature that I would die of fright upon sight. It would basilisk me.
According to Dale A. Drennan once more, the tracks reported by Thomas Gann indicate that the animal he was tracking was an arboreal ape, which was walking on the rims of its feet. He also notes that great apes can rip people open using only their fingernails and brute strength, and that male orangutans are occasionally reported to rape human women. It's not something I've ever heard, but
this is 1920 science, I think.
Well, this is I think this is like maybe by the 40s at this point.
Do apes? I hate googling this. Women, human women. Be specific there.
I mean, it seems unlikely,
yes.
Right? Oh yeah, okay.
Well. I feel bad now.
It seems there is a large, Drennan concludes that, quote, it seems there's a large arboreal ape in the tropical forests of the New World, most likely a sort of large and dark-colored orangutan. It has large throat pouches which make its calls louder by resonance, and it is most frequently compared to a very large tailless howler monkey. Then again, there's also a smaller Sisamite, which is more like a siamang, which I would have to look up, and would have been what Sanderson's informants were calling a duende or duende. Duende.
If they were to chant it.
Exactly. Anyway, there's 4 pretty interesting cryptids from Honduras and kind of the surrounding area on I guess we'll call this segment Where in Central America is the mosquito cyclops?
Solid. I'm not gonna lie. Well, then, bravo, Nate. I will lead us out. Phenomenal job as well. Jordan, we hope you're keeping your sanity. We know you are fighting Cthulhian horrors over there, horrors that cannot be even perceived well, let alone described. So if you can tell us what you need, blink. If that's still a thing you can do, we have the camera on you. And thank you, listeners, pingos, for listening to another episode of Werewolf Radar. If you can and haven't already, give us a 5-star review wherever you can. It really helps us out, lets other people find us in the algorithm, plus allows you to tell people why you like us, and it really helps others. It influences people. Letting people know what you like influences people. Let's grow the Radar Army.
Become an Radar Nation.
Become an influencer and leave a review on Werewolf Radar wherever you can. I think now Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all of them have reviews now. Check out our Twitter. Check out our Instagram. Check out our TikTok, our YouTube. Google Werewolf Radar. You'll find something Werewolf Radar related. What else is there? Twitch. Every Monday, twitch.tv/werewolf_radar. And we play
some gaming around 4 p.m. Mountain Time.
If we don't do D&D at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, I'll normally play some games with myself or the crew beforehand and during. And most importantly, if you can, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Werewolf Radar, where you can become a Dark Council member with a small monthly donation. Cancel whenever you want, continue as long as you want, and you'll get awesome paranormal extras such as exclusive episodes only for the Dark Council member, curated by Nate. Fiction from me when I reread everything and organize it. I got thoughts and I want to put something cool together for y'all. And then merchandise designed and drawn by Jordan. We're trying to get him to make more designs, and we'll slap those on some shirts and stickers.
New stuff coming up.
We live busy lives. We're all trying to live. And if you join our Patreon, you can help us live and create awesome stuff for you. Because right now we're very distracted with work, and we want to be paranormal podcasters for realsies. And now on the count of 3, our super duper secret sign-off line for everyone. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Punch the sky. Space-time, Joe. What did I say? Space-time?
Oh, maybe.
Nah.
Space Jam.
Space Jam, Joe.